Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Enrique De Castro, and you are tuning in to the What's in Your Case podcast. Our guest today is a multimedia artist born and raised in Stockton, California, dabbling with anything between photography, videography, and modeling. They also do some event coordinating, some DJing, and bartending. My super talented guest, Ghostie.
Hey, welcome. It's glad to be on this podcast.
So, we haven't actually met in person, so did you want to tell the listeners just a little bit about your origin story, Ghostie?
Yeah, of course. My name's Ghostie. That's my artist name. I had it for about a little over a year now. Before that, I went by Poison Bites for about 7 years. My first name's Joshua, so I go by whichever one, Josh, Joshua, or Ghostie, determining on what type of business I'm doing. I'm a multimedia artist here in Stockton, California. Lived here most of my life, born and raised, but I dabble in multimedia arts here in the 209 in Valley. I branch out to 916 in Sacramento and the 408 in San Jose, and then a little bit out in, South Cali whenever I get the chance to go to LA. I do anything between photography to videography. I've been in a couple bands prior to being a full-time media artist. That's kind of what got me into wanting to do photography. Playing in bands, I've always been on the other side of the camera. So I picked up a camera in 2020 and started to really perfect my craft when it came to photography. I also bartend as well. I have a mobile bartending business I started in 2022, and just from there I just been working on photography and my bar and just venturing out whenever I can.
So your name's Ghostie. Is there any relation with Ghostface from the Scream franchise? I've seen that you've worn it in a video of you doing your DJing in the garage, as well as featured it in some of your photography.
Yes, a lot of my influences when it comes to my art and photography and even DJing that I picked up in 2020 is inspired a lot by horror, because I love horror. And the ghost face mask kind of helped me break into this new character I created called Ghostie. It's not really influenced by that 100%. In 2021, I got a little ghost art tattoo on my right hand. Once I got that, it kind of really pushed me to become a full-time artist. You know the old saying, once you get tattoos on your hands and your face and neck, there's kind of no turning back. So when I got that, I decided to take full-time art because, I feel like I was born to do this. In 2022, I decided to change my name from Poison Bites to Ghostie. And it was also inspired by, my horror culture. But it was just easier to brand. Having that tattooed on me just made it super easy to continue being an artist, but also having a background when it comes to business and being an entrepreneur.
Got it. So it was from the tattoo, that's when you decided to be Ghostie. Because I was looking at some of your posts, and I saw that you had an appreciation for Drew Barrymore. And I thought since she was in the first Scream movie, that might have been your connection. But it's interesting to hear that it was more about the tattoo over Drew Barrymore.
Yes. I love Scream. I love all types of horror movies. I actually did a female ghost face type shoot in 2022 as well for Halloween. That was kind of my first concept photo shoot I've planned out and did. And from there, just took off, finding more models and just continuing to do original concept shoots with inspiration from LA and Hollywood and horror, anything that comes with that type of media.
And this is a part of the page, your modeling and photography page, The Aesthetic, which was established in 2020.
That is correct, yes. The Aesthetic is a multimedia arts type of company I established in August of 2020. I kind of created that because when I started getting into photography about a year before, I wanted to join a media type team to learn and take on projects, and I reached out to a few out here in the Valley, but it just didn't really work out. So my mindset is if I can't join a team, I might as well build my own team. So the inspiration kind of came from that, and I created the aesthetic. And at first it was kind of supposed to be like a one-time project. I wanted to do a little bit of photography, I created a mixtape which I featured 20 different artists on, and I created and built a website. From there, it turned more into branding and being an entrepreneur when it came to this, making this a full-time business. And throughout the years, it's had many different types of changes, but as of today, it is grown into productions of all types of media.
And you had mentioned before that you got into photography because you'd always been the one that they were taking pictures of when you were performing in a band. So I did notice that you do a lot of photography for bands and other performers, as well as the more personal project stuff. You had mentioned the ghost face photo shoot, and I had seen that you had a 3-picture storytelling called Lost Girl.
Yeah.
I imagine that personal projects could be more fun, but, what are the pros and cons of being an artist photographer as opposed to a storytelling photographer?
So the Lost Girl was a concept shoot I did for November, when last year, all throughout 2023, I had a digital magazine, and for each month I put out an issue. It was about 10 pages for each issue every month, from January to December, and the goal was to build quality content for the issues. And I tried for about, not every issue because it was very time consuming, for most of the issues I would create a concept photo shoot and I would tie that into with the issue. So Lost Girl was in November. It's when I reached out to a new model that is now modeling for the aesthetic. I do mostly band photography, I guess, being a musician, photographer, it's really cool. But at the same time, doing more artistic type photo shoots. So I've been doing that for about 2 years now. Since it's February, it is now the beginning of fashion season. And one of my goals this year is to continue to try to do more artistic photo shoots, but to go more into, I guess, building a better portfolio when it comes to working with models, headshots, and kind of wanting to do more fashion in a sense.
And then speaking of personal projects, in an interview that you had previously, you had mentioned that you wanted to make a horror movie. How far along into making the horror movie are you?
So that's a project I had to put on hold. During that time, I had a different photographer part of the team, and we worked a lot on creating some concepts that I no longer am doing. I just feel, because we had a falling out, and wanting to create a horror film was my idea. She wanted to create films as well, but the concept of the horror film and the idea kind of brewed from her. And it was actually my first photo shoot I modeled. I believe I titled it "Till Death Do Us Part," and it's about two lovers who kind of have a toxic past, and the boyfriend gets eaten by a zombie and turns into a zombie, and then doesn't want to live alone, so he turns his girlfriend into a zombie. And so they're both zombies, and they both live happily ever after. And it was a concept she created, and we both were going to shoot it. The guy who was going to play the boyfriend decided to drop out last minute. So we already hired a prosthetic artist, SFX makeup artist, to do it, and our female lead. So I decided to step into the role. It was kind of different, I had to step out of my comfort zone. But I'm truly grateful I did that, because it really helped me to model more for my brand. So the idea was to do a spin-off of that and create a short film, a prequel to how the story we told on camera when it came to doing the photo shoot. But because of the falling out, I decided to put that on hold. Just necessarily, I just don't want to take somebody else's idea. I'm more of a artist where I don't want to take an idea, I would rather come up with a new concept. And so I'm perfectly okay with letting that sit on the back burner. If we make amends in the future, I would love to pick that back up, but for now, it's on the back for now.
And you offer your photography skills for hire. If someone wanted to get a hold of you to get some photography done, what would be the best way for them to contact you? Would it be through your Instagram or emailing you through your website?
Yeah, so you can do both. You can follow us on Instagram at 21 by the aesthetic, and or you can email I prefer email when it comes to sending your resume and portfolio. You can email us at theaesthetic8120@gmail.com. And yes, we are hiring for more photographers and videographers. Last year, I really wanted to work on creating a media team because I can't always be in every place at once. So with multiple people on our team, it makes it easier to tackle more projects. Specifically, we are hiring for any type of media artist. Right now, we are in need of another videographer because we got hired for 3 paid video type projects. 2 of them being music videos. We're going to go and shoot for some local bands. And one of them is to cover a show on May 4th in Lodi, I believe. If you are a videographer and you're hearing this or you know anybody, please send them our way.
Now, another thing that you and I have in common is that you are also a podcast host. You host the 98.3 Early Morning Podcast, which are late night talks with tracks that you could get lost in deep thoughts. But besides that, can you tell my listeners what they could expect when listening to your podcast?
Yeah, of course. I have so many projects at once, so I'm trying to tackle each one at a time. I do need to sit down and record the 10th episode of that so I can end season 1. But that podcast was inspired by one of my favorite artists. It's The Weeknd. I love The Weeknd. I love all the discography of The Weeknd. But when he released his latest album, So Dawn FM, I was really inspired by how his album was really had some radio effects to it. And I guess the idea of 98.3 Early Mornings was kind of brewed from that. I guess you can say it when you pass on and you are kind of not sure where to go, whether you're going to heaven, hell, or in between, or whatever you believe in. It's kind of that awkward waiting room where you're just waiting to see what happens. You're in a car and you're driving and it just pops on and you hear 98.3 Early Mornings. And I inputted my type of DJing into the podcast. So it's broken down into sections where I'm talking about different subjects. I DJ music into it, and I bring in local artists who would like to showcase their music into it as well, into a 1-hour show you would hear on the radio. And so that's kind of what it is. Once I finish season 1, I would like to create a new podcast. I'm just trying to tackle each project and kind of like a checklist and put one on hold, pick one up, and continue to do so until I finish and feel like I don't need to do those projects anymore.
All right, you heard it here. We currently have 9 episodes, with the first one that started May 2022, the latest one, which is the 9th episode, December 2023. So if you wanted to catch up right now before the 10th episode drops, you do have time. I don't really get to interview a lot of podcast hosts, but in your personal opinion, what's some of the most important things people would need to consider when they're making their own podcast?
I would specifically say creating content and trying to build a breakdown of your episode, because in the first couple of episodes, it's been a while since I've actually had a podcast, and it was extremely hard for me to talk on the mic without repeating myself. So writing down a script and trying just to stick to that as much as possible, it'll make it easier when talking. And EQs are also important as well, making sure that your vocals are not too high, not too low. Specifically for my show, I do that, but I also keep in mind that I am inputting music into it. And thankfully, there's sites out there that help newer podcasters to create a podcast. And once I got that going, it was just super easy to get that out. And because they are backed by Spotify, which Spotify is one of the bigger type of apps that people use to listen to music and podcasts, it was just easy to post. Within 5 minutes, it's on Spotify. So just creating content and making sure your sound is important, and record in a quiet room, I would say.
And you had mentioned that you have your own bartending service, on-the-go bartending. What exactly is on-the-go bartending?
I guess you can say one of the themes you'll see with me as an artist is being the fact that I do a lot of things on my own, and On the Go Bar was created in 2021 when I went to bartending school in 2020. I wanted to be a bartender. That's something else I wanted to do and had interest in. Once I got my license and had the training, it was time to apply for bars. And as a bartender, it's a little bit easier to get hired as a bar back and then you work your way up into being a bartender. When it comes to clubs, restaurants, it's kind of the same thing, but it's easier to start as a server and then work your way up to the bar. But when I applied at a lot of bars and clubs and restaurants, a lot of them wanted that 2+ experience, which I did not have. And in this market, it's really hard to want to work at a job, but have that job need and prefer experience, but you don't have experience, so how do you really get experience if no job will hire you? Like the aesthetic, when I wanted to be part of a media team, I decided to say, hey, instead of stressing and being, letting this get me down to the fact that no bars will hire me, I'm going to create my own bar. That's how On the Go Bar birth created based off that. And at first it was just making drinks for friends and family, but I do have inspiration to, have more businesses. So I really marketed as much as I could for On the Go Bar. And On the Go Bar is a mobile bar service you can hire us for private parties, private events, quinceañeras, weddings, kickbacks, and we bring all of our gear. We have bartending tools, glassware, tables, bar mats, and we set up. We have lights as well, and we serve your guests. And I also created a menu too, where I have specialty cocktails. We also have a coffee bar attached to it as well. So I make iced coffee with alcohol and without. And we serve your guests. Whether you say, hey, here's all our liquor, here's the juices, we just need you to make cocktails, because a lot of people do that. They pay for services when it comes to having somebody that knows mixology. Or we bring our liquor and our juices and we make drinks off our specialty menu. So whichever one that is, we are open for booking. If you'd like to contact me, you can follow our Instagram at _onthegobar. Specifically, we are stationed at a art gallery in Midtown Sacramento called Self Designs Art Gallery. That is in Midtown. So we are upstairs, and we do events like their wine tasting Wednesdays, where we serve pour wine. I also serve beer and seltzers plus my coffee. And then like first Friday they have an open mic. They actually have guests that come and play. One of them is an artist that was actually on your podcast, Nine Fingers. He hosts an open mic there every first Friday. He loves my micheladas too, so if you want recommendations, you can check out the menu and hire us for your next event.
Speaking of self-designed gallery, I noticed that you do all kinds of DJing events, and that seems to be one of your consistent spots there. After being in 2 bands, you went solo at the end of 2021. How did you find your voice in DJing?
Well, it was all about practice. I bought a little DJ controller on Amazon, and I had my MacBook already. Just DJing in the little room I was renting at, and just learning, being at home learning until I felt confident enough to reach out to people who were doing events and just continue to do that. But luckily, with me having 2 businesses, I kind of like an umbrella where I plug in everything that I do. It makes it easier. So with the aesthetic, I do event coordinating and I throw shows and I work with different types of venues. Because of that, I can plug myself in as a DJ. so I can DJ that event. If it's like private venue where they have the opportunity to have a bar there, I plug my on-the-go bar there. So I throw a show, plug my bar in, plug me as a DJ, and so far I've been doing that for a year, and it's worked perfectly when it comes to that.
And if you are interested, you can catch him over at the Self-Design Gallery, or you can check out Ghostie's DJing on his YouTube. I know his first video is December 2nd, 2022, and the latest one just came out January 26th, 2024.
Yes, and part of being a multimedia artist is it's really convenient that I can set myself up to DJ in public spaces, and then set up cameras and record and do everything myself. Although it does take about a day, that is like a whole day project worth of work, but I like the fact that I've learned all these skills where I can do that on my own and take the project home and start editing it and posting it. I am DJing at Colon Theater in Sacramento, California. The event's called Kicking Rocks 2. It's a 12-hour event. It features 16 bands, and it's February 24th, 2024 from 11:59 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. And half the proceeds goes to a local animal shelter in Placerville. So it's $20 pre-sale, $25 at the door. 12 hours, I'll be DJing in between each band, and half the proceeds goes to a good cause. So if anybody wants tickets to that or has something to do, catch me DJing at the Colon Theater, Sacramento, February 24th. Definitely gonna be cool.
All right, let's take a peek at your discography. Now, it looks like October 1st, 2020, you released an EP called Demos under the name Poison Bites. That one consisted of Welcome, Alien, A Rainy Everything, We Are the One, Evolution, Interlude, Reboot, Sonido de Amor, Glitch, After Dark, Slasher, and Retro.
That was a EP I put out when I first wanted to branch away from being in my past bands. And it was kind of just trying to find my sound. It's really a lot of electronic type noise sound when it came to that. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just wanted to create sounds and put it out. I wasn't really promoting it as much, whether people listen to it or not. I just wanted to put out music. It made me happy at the time and really helped me find my voice to who I am today.
And then when I went to go listen to the EP on Spotify, it said that the songs weren't available.
Yeah.
Was that more of a conscious decision that you made to take it down?
Yeah, last year I decided to take down most of my music only because I wanted to focus more on media arts rather than, trying to continue music, because music got me started into this. 2017, I was 19. I just had my son, and I wanted to start a band. I did that for 3 years. The band broke up at the end of 2019. 2020, I took the whole year to find myself and get into bartending, photography, DJing. 2021, I started up my second band. Did that for about January to the end of August. I got the opportunity to be able to play in Hollywood twice that year, and we had a falling out, unfortunately, so I left. I don't really want to give up on music, but I want to put that on hold for now. So the decision to delete my music off of streaming platforms was specifically for that. I want people to remember me and know me for my photography, my DJing, and my mobile bar for now.
Yes, and you had mentioned that you used to be a part of bands, and as things often do, bands do break up. So when you do find yourself at a place where you might consider making a new band again, what lessons did you learn from your previous bands that you would put forward to be on a successful path for a new band?
I think communication is key. Being able to communicate with all your band members and being on the same page works out pretty well. I would specifically suggest creating a band with people your age. One of the things that I had falling out with my last band called 1984, and they're still going on to this day, is that when I started it, I was 23, and I started it with my ex-band member. He was 19 at the time. So we kind of had a lot of differences when it came to that. You know, I like to drink. That's why I have a mobile bar as well. You can't sell your product if you don't enjoy your product. And there was a couple of times where we would play shows and I would either drink before or after or even during, but I wouldn't get too drunk. He just didn't like that, didn't really understand that. And I don't want to have anybody in my band under 21. Same thing with working with other people as well. My first band, one of the lessons learned was not only communication, but like being equal. That's why in 2020, I really wanted to find myself and find my voice. Because coming off of that band, I didn't feel equal at all. When we had our falling out, because I didn't like play specific instruments, I did vocals and helped with music production, and I helped with promoting and booking shows. I try to learn as much as I can. They just didn't really see me equal. At the end of the breakup, they would tell me that we are the one that makes the band. Nobody cares about you specifically because you don't play any instruments. So the year after, which was 2020, it was like a self year to find myself and realize even though I don't play instruments like some of these musicians, I am just as equally as important, and picked up DJing and I went full throttle on that.
Nice. And on SoundCloud, you do have some songs available. So if you wanted to listen to some of Ghostie's music, SoundCloud is currently an option. A year ago, you released the song Ghost. 8 months ago, you released Ghost in the Walls. 6 months, you released Insane Reimagined. And 20 days ago from when I did the research for this, which was last Saturday when we had plans to actually record before all my power went out and we had to reschedule, you released Woman in the Garden.
So I'm on SoundCloud most of my music nowadays. When I dropped the name Ghostie and I did this whole reveal of it, it came with a song called Ghost, and it was really different from some of the music I put out in the past, and I really wanted to venture into a new sound. So I released that together and kind of like a debut. Ghost in the Walls was when I wanted to like really focus on DJing. So it's about a seven and a half long song, and it's really fun playing that, you know, to be able to sit down and build a song to DJ. It's pretty crazy. Insane Reimagined was from an old song I had put out called Insane. It's called Reimagined because I kind of redid the song and re-released it after I took down all of my music. And I'm like 80% proud of it. It's not my best, but it's content. I want to put out as much as I can. And Woman in the Garden was another type of song I built to DJ, but my sound in DJing kind of shifted from DJing a lot of EDM, electronic stuff, to DJing a lot of goth stuff, goth and new wave, and dark wave. Because with my photography, I started doing more event photography, and I started working with this goth club in Stockton that puts on events, and they would invite me to their events. I would photograph them, and so now I'm kind of like their official/unofficial photographer. Whenever they put on events, I go down there and we capture the moment. But because I was going to a lot of goth nights, and I even started going to a few in Sacramento at Harlow's, I started to remember why I love this type of genre. So when I sat down to write and work on Woman in the Garden, it was me breaking more into that type of goth, dark wave type sound. And it's about a minute, but I did want to create a new sound for myself. And I'm super proud of Woman in the Garden. I recorded a video of me DJing that as well at the Rose Garden in Sacramento, where the capital is. So you can catch that on my YouTube as well.
So thank you for being our guest here on the What's in Your Case podcast. Do you have anything that you'd like to promote? And tell the listeners where they can find your content.
If you or your partner or you're in a relationship and you want to get couple photos, or you're single and you need some photos to updated photos on your Tinder, or you need some spicy content photos. I am doing a promotion where for 40 edited photos you can get that for $75, or 20 edited photos I'm doing it for $50. And hit us up if you want to do a couple photos for Valentine's Day. You can follow the Aesthetics Instagram at 21 by the Aesthetic. And the next big event is coming up on Saturday, the 24th, from 11:59 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. That's the Kicking Rocks 2 event at the Culinary Theater in Sacramento. And that's going to be the first event I'll be DJing for a long period of time. It's 12 hours. It's divided between 16 bands, and all of the bands on the bill are local, either from Stockton, Sacramento, the Bay. They're all like branched out, and I'll be DJing in between each band for those 12 hours. And half of the proceeds goes to a local animal shelter in Placerville, California. So it's good cause. Come out, see local bands. You can go right next door, because right next door is the Culinary Cafe, and they're having a show that night too. So, come around anytime during the day, see some bands, go next door, grab a drink, come back, and you get to see more bands. All 12 hours. Saturday, February 24th, 11:59 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. at the Culinary Theater. And the address is 3522 Stockton Boulevard, Sacramento, California, 95820. Hit me up, selling tickets, and hope to see you all there.